Hey guys, welcome to the Live Big, Find Your Magic podcast. I am super excited to welcome my guest, Ginger, to the podcast. I actually reached out to Ginger and said, I want you on this podcast. I want to interview you. And she was like, wait, what? It's like, no, you don't understand. I want you on, I want to interview you, and here's why. And so I shared with her a little bit about why, and she's going to share why I wanted you guys to hear her. So I wanted to share a little bit about how Ginger and I have met, and it has everything to do with, social media. The good parts of social media is connecting to people that you wouldn't necessarily connect with on a regular basis. And so Ginger happened to be in one of my communities, in my existing community actually, and she showed her face, and then she retreated, and then she came back, and she was like, I'm back. And I was like, this is awesome. And so ever since then, that always stuck out to me. I told her this too the other day. This always stuck out to me, is that the fact that she came back and she was like, I'm back, and then ready to reconnect, right? So I don't know, a lot of times life happens and we get pulled away, and then we come back. Like, we're human beings. That's what we do. And so the fact that you had called that out and said exactly what had happened, and you just like, and now I'm back. I just think that was always memorable. And so since then, I've just followed Ginger, and her posts, I was telling her, her posts pop up on my feed all the time. And I just love following her journey. And I was just like, you know what? I feel pulled to talk to her and for her to share her story, and really, goes along with this theme of living big and finding the magic, right? Finding the magic in life. So thank you, Ginger, for being here. Appreciate it.
Super excited.
Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask you 3 questions. Ginger doesn't know what these questions are, so we might put her on the spot, but they're very easy to answer. And I love this because I love to hear, what everybody says for the same question. Okay, question number 1. These are like icebreaker questions. Question number 1, what brings you joy? What's the first thing that comes to your mind when I say, what brings you joy?
My family.
Your family.
My core little unit.
Yeah. I know. And you say it a lot. So I knew that you would say that because they do clearly bring you joy. So yes, good. All right. That was easy. See, easy. Right? Easy. Okay. So my next question would be, do you believe that everyone has a purpose in life? No wrong answer.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it changes throughout life.
Okay.
I don't think there's any like one purpose. I think
not one person. So one person may have multiple purposes throughout their life. They don't know what that is in the beginning, or they have one and then it may be another one in the future, right? Yeah. Is that what you're saying?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Okay. I love that answer. I'll go with that one for sure. And again, there was no wrong answer. That was your answer.
Yep.
Good job. Okay. The third question would be, what is this kind of may stump you. I don't know, because I don't know how clear it is, but we're going to go with it.
Okay.
What is your favorite thing about human connection?
Oh, all right. Third one's more in depth.
No, you gotta have to.
My favorite thing about human connection is probably like that feeling that you get when there's like a true connection, like the
energy.
Yeah, the energy, the way that it like it when there's a true connection, the way that your body just relaxes, it goes with the flow. Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah. I love that. I love that you used a feeling to describe it. Perfect. See, no wrong answers there either. And you passed the test. You passed the 3-question test, and now we can move forward.
Awesome.
Yay. Okay. So what I would love for you to do is I would love for you to share a little bit about your story on how you've kind of moved through life here, and really kind of finding the magic in your life and the joy and the obviously your purpose in life and all of the above, but really sharing your story, because I think that everybody has a story and we may not necessarily hear people's stories that we really need to hear. So you are definitely one of those people that I think people need to hear your story. So share.
Oh, when people ask me my story, I'm always like, oh man. And I've touched on this for a minute before we started, is that I just feel like life is compartments, and so it's like where you have multiple stories, really. If you're like, what point in my life, how far back do we go?
Probably where you've, I don't know, in the recent future. Like if you were to say, oh, these things happened and that's what kind of brought me to where I am today. Not necessarily like going way back, but just kind of in the recent future where you've done or experienced or seen certain things that have gotten you to where you are today.
I think a good starting point would be right around the time that I met you, because that's
a good point. That's a good part.
Yeah. So in around 2017, I was co-owned outpatient mental health and substance abuse facility. It was like consumed all of my brain space, and I'm passionate about it. I was passionate about it then, and still have a passion for the industry now. Right. But I also, around that time, 2014, I had gave birth to a beautiful girl, and it was like in those years between the time she was born and then, I was like, my priorities were really shifting, a family and my kids. And so we really wanted to have more children. And for whatever reason, I would get pregnant and then miscarry. And it just started to dawn on me that I was stretched way too thin. Right. I was commuting to work an hour each way, not seeing my family as much as I wanted to, even though I was passionate about what I was doing. Right. It was taken away from another passion of mine. Right. So I made a decision to sell the shares in that company and retire from that position and stay home full time with my daughter. Mm-hmm. And we also downsized. Mm-hmm. We sold our home and we moved into an RV because, that sounded fun. And while we were living in the RV, making these big plans for traveling, I got pregnant again. And that was in, oh my goodness, 2018. Yep. So what happened is that then I was able to hold that pregnancy. I was much more relaxed. I mean, who knows what all the reasons are. Sure. But I gave birth in 2019, March 2019. Mm-hmm. And so then again, our priorities changed. And in that whole time, I started to miss the business stuff. Right. Like I'm home full time and I'm like, oh, but I really miss running a business. So I didn't know what it was going to look like. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And that's about the time when I met you, because I started like, oh, what am I going to do? And I started meeting people online and joining communities and trying to learn as much as I could about starting an online business versus like a brick and mortar. Yep. So, and after he was born, I kind of disappeared for a minute and got a little more clear about what I wanted to do and started again full force on my business, showed kind of back up in these business spaces. And we moved out of the RV and back into like a townhome. Right. And then I was like, life was going good. I was getting like focus on what I wanted to do in all areas of my life. And it was last November. So that would have been 2020. Yeah. I'm kind of confused because
I know these years have definitely
November 2020,
Yep.
we got this devastating news that my father-in-law had a term cancer, pancreatic cancer, and it rattled us, our entire existence to our core. Really close with my in-laws, and my kids are, close with them. And I had to make a decision to take a step back again.
Right.
And put all my focus on family. And I look back now and I'm just so glad I did. We got some really good quality time before he left us that following April. And then it took us some time to, we're still recovering from that, but
yeah, of course.
But then it was, I don't know, this past summer, I'm like, okay, I'm ready. I'm going to do this again. So jumping back in full force, trying to show up as my authentic self as much as possible.
Right.
And yeah, and so
each time, I know you said that it's kind of like in compartments, right? You're dealing with plenty of curveballs, right? Plenty of curveballs. So let's just say you're human.
Yes.
Right. So I think that one of the great messages in this is your persistence in wanting to follow a purpose, and you're, like you said, like, I think your purpose is changed even in these few years, right? So when we first met, your purpose, you had this particular path that you were going on, and then chose to pull back because of your priorities. So I think that that's also a really important thing, is that you felt, and you're grateful for this, is that it was not all or one, right? It was like, not like, I'm going to sacrifice my priorities because I've already started this business and I want to keep going, and I won't reach the top unless I keep going, and then everything else is going to have to fall by the wayside. Instead, you were like, no, my priorities are here, which allows me to show up again and allows me to show up. And I know that I've witnessed you on each side of those experiences. I followed along with your father-in-law, that whole entire journey, and it was incredibly touching to me. And when you were ready to come back, you came back strong. So I guess the question then too I have is, once you kind of come up for air and decide that, like, all right, I'm ready to take on this thing. What is it? What is that motivation for you? What drives you to want to do that? Because there are a lot of people that are like, oh no, I wouldn't dare do that. But clearly there's something in you that drives you to be like, okay, now I'm going to take this on. What does that motivation to you look like?
Oh man, I just have a really big desire to help people as much as possible. And in any way I can help. Everybody has their gifts, and I've been working to try and figure out what are my gifts.
Right.
How can I help?
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah.
I think so many people think that, like, they should know. I think we talked a little bit about this before. I think that people think that they should know, right? And I know that I've struggled with this myself over time. And like, okay, what is it that I know I want to help people? What is it that I'm good at? And you go, oh, I don't know. I guess I'm good at a bunch of things. I don't know. People tell me I'm good at something, right? But there's something that drives me to want to help people. And I'm willing, I know this is for me, and you tell me if this is for you as well. I'm willing to just kind of figure that out, because the process of figuring it out is just as joyful as actually doing
the journey. The journey is just
exciting. I like that one. You'll understand this later when she says what her business is.
It's all about the journey.
It is all about the journey. I think it's true, right? So you've found, obviously, you found pain in the journey, you found joy in the journey, you found balance in the journey. anything else that you found in this journey that maybe was surprising? I don't know.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, I think I realized this a while ago, but my biggest aha is you never arrive. There's never like this arrival. I really don't believe, I just think that you have like moments that give you these, kind of euphoric joy, or I just think that you're on this path, and then each time you're going through something hard, you come out that much stronger on the other side of it. Right. And then there's something new to learn. Right.
It's like an obstacle course. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah. And I appreciate all the lessons I've learned so that I can take them into whatever next thing there is to learn. And I think in the past, maybe 10 plus years ago, I think that my biggest struggle was I thought that there was some place that I should arrive to.
Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
And life is a little less disappointing when you realize there's always going to be something else that might come up, either that brings you joy or brings you through another tough situation.
Like an endless, once you realize that it's an ongoing ups and downs and ebbs and flows, then you're okay with it, because something's gonna happen, but not in a bad way.
Not in a bad way, just that we're not fully in control.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and if we try to be too much in control, we're setting ourselves up for some disappointments.
Right. I think that's a really good lesson. I think that's a great lesson is kind of releasing control of what you may think you have control of, which is really hard to do, because
it is. It's a lesson that's all in itself.
Exactly, right? We can talk about that all day long.
Right.
So right now then, let's just talk about your business right now. What is your focus with what you've got going on? I know that you have a community and you're bringing tons of people into your community.
Oh my gosh.
Super exciting to see. So where is your current vision? I mean, this vision may change next week, but where is your current vision when it comes to helping people and bringing people into your community and things like that?
Yes. So my current vision, like you said, could change tomorrow.
Today, this moment in time.
So, helping women specifically create simplicity in their different areas of their lives, help with a focus around mindset.
Okay.
So the community, which I just am falling in love with, and it's so much fun.
I've seen it.
It's my favorite place to hang out right now.
I know, right?
It's just bringing people together so they can start these conversations, and then providing kind of like these. I'm launching it, this next month, kind of the first challenge that will be in that community, but like just an avenue for people to gather and then go through an experience together.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So when you say simplify your mindset, what, without giving all of the details, obviously, what if I were to say, what is simplifying my mindset? What would you?
Well, creating simplicity with mindset.
Bringing simplicity with mindset.
Yeah. So, for instance, in my own life.
Okay. Perfect.
Back when I was overwhelmed with life and there's just too much going on, trying to help people figure out, okay, these are all the things going on in your life right now.
Right.
Which things can you let go of?
Right.
And which things need to stay in your core? What are your priorities? And not making any of it wrong. You might have like 3 paths that you want to take, but picking a path and then working towards something on one of them instead of 10 of them.
It's really narrowing down your priorities and being okay with them, and not feeling guilt or shame around letting things go, and
the guilt, the
things
shame,
like that, right?
Helping people let things go. I think that's kind of like the main theme
and that just
of my
goes
business.
along, I was gonna say, and that just goes along with your life too. You've had to learn to let things go and be okay with that, knowing that there will be a season where you're ready to bring them back or whatever in a different way, or maybe. So I think that that's very telling of your whole story and where you're at now and what you want to help people with, because you've experienced that, and then you're an expert at that because you've had to learn those skills to let things go and be okay with it, and let your community be as it may, as it is, while you take care of your priorities and be okay with that, right? Because I know a lot of people have issues about that, like, oh, but if I walk away, then they won't be there.
Well, that's the hard part of learning to not make it about wrong and right. It's either working or not working, and it's I don't know.
No, I get what you're saying.
I'm explaining it myself, but it's just letting go of those pieces of your life that aren't working to move you forward and aren't helping you, learn the lessons that you're needing to learn. Sometimes it means, letting go of relationships. Sometimes it means letting go of, your business or a working situation, like, work.
And there's a bit of trust in that too, right? Like you have to try, if you're going to walk away and take care of your priorities, you have to trust that whatever it is will be back.
Trust in yourself. And that's another big piece that we're going to be focusing on in the community is belief in self, finding ways to trust your own intuition. You've got 5 people coming at you, giving you their opinions. Well, which opinion matters the most is what your gut is telling you.
And recognizing that and listening to that and all those things. I love that. I love that so much. I'm a firm believer in that. I'm a firm believer in your intuition and gut feeling. And, it's always when you're like, gosh, I wish I would have listened to my gut because my gut was right. And, whatever.
And sometimes you have to let go of other things so you can hear yourself.
And that's the simplicity part of it, right?
Yes. And it's sometimes really difficult to explain, but I mean, that's.
I get what you're throwing down. I totally get it. Well, I really appreciate you sharing that. I know that it's personal and it's not something that you do every day. So I know that it's not easy to do. So I really cherish the fact that you took the time to do that, because I know that there are people out there that need to hear it and that need to maybe, feel like, oh my gosh, they feel like they're being stretched, and they don't know. They don't want to drop all the balls. But you're kind of giving them permission to do so. So that I think is very valuable. So I appreciate you sharing that. So since we talked about this community, where can people find your amazing community? Share.
Well, okay, 3 ways.
Okay.
Because I think everybody likes to find me in different ways.
Totally fine. Yep.
You go to the Facebook page, Journey to Euphoria. And if you like the page, you get an invite to the group.
Perfect.
And the other way is to go to the website, journeytoeuphoria.com, and click on the community link right at the top, and it'll take you right to the group where you can then request to join.
Okay.
And if there's one required question, I've been, all through these years, I've been like, what questions should I be asking? If you like the page and get an invite, it skips the questions. But if you request to join, there's one question that says, how did you find us? And you needed to have been invited. This is your invite. So say Anna Banana.
Awesome.
Sent you.
Now I have one quick question. Where did the where did the title Journey to Euphoria come from? Like, where did you capture that from, your vision on that?
Well,
I've actually, that's a personal question because I've always wondered that.
I've got, the meaning behind it has shifted sometimes throughout the years, but originally, and it still holds true. Originally, my business was going to be a blog around our travels in the RV. Back when we did that. And so I started a website, and it was called Journey to Euphoria, because I then and now still believe that it's like the adventures of life, not necessarily, but then you have these moments of euphoria. And so I still think it fits.
It still holds true. Even though the vision may have changed, tweaked a little bit, it still holds true. I love that. Thank you for sharing. Because I've that was a personal question. I've always wondered that. It's a curious question because it's such a unique name, you know?
Yeah. And I just, even after talking to you, before we started this, I just thought, so much I could tell you prior to where I started, and there's just these pockets, and it's all, there's a story in
finding the magic,
one,
I love it. Yes, the pockets of magic or euphoria. Either one works, right?
Yeah.
I love it. Okay, I'm going to share the link to find Ginger in the show notes, so you can find them there as well. And I just want to thank you again for joining me here. And
thank you for inviting me on. I'm honored, beyond honored.
You're so welcome. So if you're watching this on YouTube, please feel free to hit subscribe. If you know someone that needs this, please, please, please click the share button and share it with them. And if you're listening to this, then hit subscribe and review and all of those fun things. So that's it. I appreciate you guys, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye.